I'm going to show you how super easy it is to needle felt this Santa bauble or ornament, which could make a lovely Christmas gift. He doesn't have any fiddly eyes to needle felt, so if you're a beginner to needle felting, this is an ideal project to have a go at. What's going on here, guys? Are you okay?
We've heard a rumour that Santa is coming to visit. Is it true?
Well, yes, he is. So you'll all need to be on your best behaviour.
Oh, yes, Julie. We will.
Okay, well, I'll introduce you to him later.
Oh, goody.
Well, we'd better get started then. First, I needle felted a ball out of carded core wool. If you're not sure how to needle felt a ball, I have a video that takes you through it step by step, which I'll link below. Don't forget it's better to start with less wool than you think you'll need, as you can always add more, as I did here. You need the ball to be about 4.5 centimetres, or 1 3/4 inch across once felted. Next, I'm going to make the head. So that it's the right shape, I'm going to make what might seem an odd shape for his head. Basically, I'm felting a half ball shape so that it'll look like his head has sunk into the body, giving him a very short neck. But trust me, this works. So roll up a small amount of core wool. I've held it flat on my mat and stabbed around it to make a ball or dome shape. Then I've turned the dome over, and notice how I'm stabbing the bottom straight downwards and angling my needle the opposite way to making the ball, to make a slightly curved or concave recess that will sit on top of the body. So that you can get the shapes exactly the same as mine, I've created a downloadable template sheet for all the shapes that make this Santa Claus, including really detailed written instructions. And until the end of this month, you can get 50% off in my Etsy shop when you use the discount code in the description below. The finished head is 3 centimetres or 1 3/16 inch across. So next we're going to attach this head onto the ball that we've created for the body. To do this, I've stabbed down through the base of the head at an angle so that the needle is going through the head down into the body. Make sure you do this all the way around the join. Once it's attached, I took some pale peach merino roving wool and spread it out and wrapped it around the head, making sure it's evenly spread. Then I've stabbed it all over to attach it. I'm using a Clover multi-needle tool with 3 spiral 40 gauge needles in it, but you can do this with just one needle if you don't have a multi-needle tool holder. Here I've added a couple more pieces of peach wool just to cover all the white. Then I'm going to do the same for the body with some lovely bright red merino roving wool, making sure it's well coated in the red. Once I've got the body and head coated, I went over them with a fine 42 gauge triangular needle to help the finish be a bit smoother and less fuzzy, catching the wayward strands by angling my needle at 45 degrees to get them to stay down. To find out more about this technique afterwards, you might want to watch my video on getting a smooth finish. I'll put a link in the description below. For the arms, I took 2 pieces of merino roving in red and measured out the wool for both arms at the same time. This will help you ensure that you have the same sized arms. Feel the wool in both hands to make sure they are the same thickness. I rolled one of these pieces up into a sausage shape using the template as a guide. Remember, once felted it will reduce in size by about 1/3. I'm using a 40 gauge triangular needle to stab along the arm while constantly rotating it. Stab one end to make it rounded, but leave the other end unfelted so that we can attach it with that fuzzy end later. Once you've made the second arm, check it against the first to make sure they're the same length and width. Please don't forget to click the like button if you're enjoying this content. By doing this, you'll help other needle felters find this video. For the feet, I'm going to measure out 2 pieces of black merino roving in the same way as we did for the arms, to make sure that they turn out the same size. I've rolled this narrow piece of wool up into a sausage, and then rolled the left end of the sausage over on itself once or twice to make a thicker ball shape at that end. Here you can see the front and side templates of the shape that we're trying to achieve. So I've left the rest of the sausage unrolled. This is going to be where I attach the foot under the body. Stab the rolled end into a slightly oval ball, leaving the unrolled part fairly unfelted for now. And don't forget to check the second foot is about the same size as the first one. I'm going to attach them using some pins to get them in the right place first, and to make sure that Santa can stand up. We don't want a wobbly Santa. He'll look like he's drank too much sherry on Christmas Eve, which is what we leave out for him in our house. But I believe in America it's usually milk, so we can't really use that excuse for him wobbling. Now I'm happy with the position. I folded the fuzzy end of the foot under and stabbed and shaped the fuzzy end while stabbing into the body and attaching them. Check now and again that he can still stand up. Next, for the black belt, I've got a long thin strip of black merino roving that's at least 5.5 inches or 14 centimetres long. First, I've stabbed where one end will be and folded it over. Then then stab along the length of the strip. You're aiming to have a belt that's about 1/4 of an inch or 7mm wide. If it's a bit long, you can trim it later, but it needs to be long enough to go round Santa's belly. I've positioned it just below the middle of his belly to leave room for his beard, and stabbed it all round to attach it to the body. You can make it slightly narrower and neater if necessary, by angling your needle down along the edge. If your belt is too long, as mine is here, just trim the excess off and felt it down. You don't really want them overlapping too much. What's that noise?
Oh,
What are you doing now?
yeah. We're writing out our Christmas list to give to Santa when he arrives.
Oh wow, that's a long list. We'll have to see what Santa says later. Anyway, next we're going to attach the arms. So using the pins again, I'm making sure I position the arms right near the top of the body. And looking at my Santa from directly above, I'm checking that the arms are in the right place in relation to the way my Santa's feet are pointing by placing a needle across the middle of his head. As you can see here, one of his arms is too far back. Once you're happy, spread out the fluffy wool at the end of the arm and stab that down into the body. Then I can stab all round the base of the arm. Notice while I'm doing this, I'm holding the arm in the position I want it to be in. Oh, and don't forget to take your pins out. Now I've got some more light peach wool to make his nose. It's the same colour wool we used to coat his head, and I've spread a small amount out on my mat. To make sure you're going to get it the right size, you can use my nose template or make your own template. I've drawn round it with the needle and made an outline. Then I've taken the template away and stabbed in the middle of the outline. Then gradually fold over the wool from round the edges and continue to stab it. Keep folding over the wool and stabbing it down. Now and again check that you're keeping to the template shape. Once I've only got a bit of wool left, I've peeled it off the mat and wrapped the remainder around the nose and stabbed it into an oval ball shape. Then position it right in the middle of his head and attach by stabbing all the way around the base of the nose into the head with a 40 gauge triangular needle. Now for the fun bit. I've pulled some lengths of white merino roving wool so that I've got quite a bit, as you can see here. It doesn't have to be very thick. And then I've cut these lengths in half, so that will be plenty long enough. Then place the cut lengths around his head and stabbed in a line to attach these all around the top of his head. Don't worry too much about what the top of his head looks like. It'll be hidden under his hat. But make sure it's all firmly attached. Now here's where I learnt from my mistake when needle felting Sadness's hair. I remembered this time to use a plastic food bag as a little hairdressing cape to protect the rest of Santa from all the hair I'm about to cut off. It's up to you how long you leave his hair, but I thought about 2 centimetres or 7/8 of an inch would be plenty. Notice how I'm taking small snips upwards and not straight across. This will give his hair less of a mushroom or bowl haircut. Next for the beard, I pulled some more lengths of white merino roving wool, a little bit thicker this time, and layered them all in one place. Then I folded this over and arranged the fold right under his nose and right up to where his hair starts. I've then stabbed along the top of this fold, under his nose and right along to the other side. Then just to make sure it's firmly attached, I've lifted up his beard and stabbed it all underneath as well. I've then had a look at his beard and very gently pulled away any extra loose pieces to shape his beard into a nice V shape, and carefully trimmed his beard by angling my scissors upwards, not across, like we did with his hair, to give his beard a more natural finish. Notice I'm only cutting a small amount at a time. Now to make his hat. My PDF on Etsy also includes a template for Santa's hat, but if you want to try and make a template yourself, have a look at my Robin Bauble video which explains how you can do this. If you make your own template, make sure the base of the template will fit round your Santa's head before you start. Now that I'm happy with my template, I've laid some red wool out onto the mat. Not too thick, you only want a thin felted material so it bends easily. Then I've felted round the edge of my paper template so that I have the shape. I can then take the template away and felt the middle, folding in the edge to the middle, which will help to cover any bare areas that you can see. I felted it evenly all over for about 2 minutes. Then I've peeled it up from the mat and turned it over and stabbed the other side. Try to make sure it keeps its shape while you're doing this, checking it against your template. Then just keep turning it over and needle felting it on each side until it's a lot less fuzzy. To neaten up all the edges, I've sandwiched it between a ruler and foam mat. This allows you to hold the hat safely while making the edges a lot less fuzzy. Before the next step, check that the base of a felted hat will fit around Santa's head. Now with the felt curved round so that the 2 ends of the curve meet and the 2 straight edges overlap by about 3mm or 1/8 of an inch, finish. Start at the very tip of the hat and needle felt down this join, as if sewing the two sides together. You need to be very careful not to put your fingers too far inside the hat while doing this. I'm holding the join away from the other side of the hat by pinching it between my thumbnail and my index fingernail. This way I know whereabouts my finger is inside the hat, and I know not to stab past my thumbnail or it'll be painful. To felt the last bit, splay the rim of the hat out onto the mat. Once I'm happy with where the hat is on Santa's head, I'm lightly needle felting around the base of the hat to hold it in position. I like having the hat folded over, so to make it stay down, I've needle felted under the fold out of sight, so that it stays in that position. Next, I've taken a long thin strip of white merino roving wool, the same as we use for the hair and beard, and I've felted it all around the base of the hat. To make the bobble on the end of the hat, I've taken a small piece of white wool, rolled it up and stabbed it all round into a small ball shape, leaving a tiny bit unfelted that we're going to attach it with. I'm then going to stab this into the tip of the hat to make sure this is securely attached. You might want to trim him with some scissors to reduce the amount of fuzziness.
Oh, look, it's Santa.
Hello, everyone. Have you all been good this year?
Oh, yes, Santa.
Yes.
This is what we'd like for Christmas, please.
Oh, well, I'll see what I can do. But you'll have to make sure you're good.
Oh, yes,
Oh,
Santa.
yes. Right then, got to dash. Got lots to do, you know. Goodbye. Now, where did I park my sleigh?
Oh dear, I hope Santa gets his sleigh back. That rabbit's going on the naughty list. I wonder if he'll get anything for Christmas. I'll let you know what happens, so subscribe and click the bell if you don't want to miss the update. And if you've enjoyed this Christmas ornament, you might also like to watch this video to see how I needle felted this little fox ornament that I made last year. Thanks for watching.